Lincoln. I'm not sure where I'm looking. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm from Upbeat. Upbeat is a social group for people with personality-related difficulties based in Lincoln. By personality-related difficulties, I'm here to talk about personality disorders. I have a personality disorder myself. It's classed as being avoidant personality disorder, so I have high amounts of social anxiety, and coming out and speaking in front of people is quite difficult. But I also do training for professionals on personality disorders. So what is a personality disorder? Well, it is actually an adult diagnosis that stems from childhood unmet needs for warmth, safety, security, love. There are high amounts of traumas associated with people with personality disorders. And what you'll tend to find is people with personality disorders have rigid views and rigid thinking patterns of the way they see themselves and others. They often have other complications, such as behaviours that are difficult to understand, such as self-harm, compulsive spending, forming inappropriate relationships. There's high amounts of drug and alcohol misuse, self-medication, suicidal thoughts and ideologies. I myself have had several suicide attempts. I'm an adult self-harmer. And we, as a group, try to support people through these. There's the unmet needs of children create difficult ways of thinking and feeling that are reinforced over time. And those thoughts and feelings become rigid and difficult for people to understand. So when I talk about personality disorders, I don't talk about what happens as an adult. I talk about what happened as a child and how that affects me now as an adult. Because when I'm in situations, I don't respond as an adult. I respond how I did as a child, because I learnt ways of coping as a child that was helpful then, that may not be helpful as an adult. So we see many 18 to 25-year-olds getting diagnosed with personality disorders. So I will go to universities and speak at universities. I will go to colleges and speak at colleges. And our social group is for many young people and many young adults. So they have to be 18, but we meet in Lincoln at Involve, and we meet on a Thursday morning from 11 till 1. So it's not complicated, it's not rocket science, but it is something that people need to understand. 1 in 16 adults could have a diagnosable personality disorder, so it is quite common, but it is the most misunderstood type of mental disorder. The media portrays us as mad, bad and dangerous because of that 0.1% of people who have those extreme personality disorders that hit the news headlines for the most horrendous crimes. There are 10 types of personality disorders. I won't bore you with all the 10 types. And there's 2 diagnostic codes that people use within the UK. There's an American system and the World Health Organization system, and we use them both. So it creates a difficulty when you come to speak to people and they say, well, I've got borderline personality disorder. That's under the American system. Or I've got emotionally unstable personality disorder, and that's under the World Health Organization. And yet it refers to the same category of people. So People with those sort of conditions are more likely to die by suicide. 1 in 10 people with borderline personality disorder dies by suicide. People with personality disorders, on average, died 19 years younger than the average person. So it has a massive impact on those people. People with personality disorders have problems gaining life insurance, mortgages. It affects their driving licence, holiday insurance, holiday visas. Last time I went to Bulgaria, my holiday insurance actually cost more than my holiday because I have a personality disorder. They insisted that I go with an adult to be supervised in case I create some sort of mayhem out there. So it is difficult. People with borderline personality disorder are more likely to present to services, and they're more likely to be female. People with antisocial personality disorder are more likely to be male, and they're more likely to present to the forensic services or criminal justice system. But you'll tend to find that's because of the way they're diagnosed. People will see ladies acting in and cutting themselves or taking overdoses, and they'll be more impulsive and suffer more mood swings, and they will present to services, and they're more likely to be diagnosed by white middle-class males as having borderline personality disorders. Those same behaviours in men are more likely to be seen as problematic and be diagnosed as antisocial traits, and be diagnosed by those same men as antisocial personality disorder. In places like New Zealand and Australia, the diagnosis is a lot more even between the genders, because they do a lot more research into how these people are diagnosed, and they put them through a more rigorous test. When I was diagnosed with avoidant personality disorder, I sat through 6 weeks of assessment with a psychologist, and then I had to wait 3 years for psychology services. So there is a problem between getting diagnoses and getting those services, and this is where Upbeat comes in. We provide a social group to reduce social isolation. We try and integrate people back into the community. At the moment, we've had one person go on to manage a cafe, one person go into university to study law. We've had one person go back into full-time work and one person go into full-time volunteering. So we're very much about integrating people back into the community and breaking down those social stigmas. When I first started attending Upbeat in 2012, I could only go into the group for 5 minutes at a time, because that's all I could bear, because I was so withdrawn into myself and so anxious about being seen as a freak of nature, because that's what the voices in my head tell me. I'm a freak of nature and you're only interested in me because I am sort of different and I am odd and I am a damaged person. But I'm so much more than that. And it's only through going through therapy, through looking at what those childhood unmet needs were, that I've begun to be able to come out and express different ideas. I still have voices in my head that are critical, that tell me to go and hurt myself, that I live with suicidal thoughts most days, but I have a rational side that says people are interested in me because I have a story to tell, that I'm a worthy human being, that I go out and do some good and there's value to my life. Research suggests that children, when they present to services will present with conduct disorders or high impulsivity, emotional distress. These are the children that we need to target, because those children are at risk of developing adult diagnosis of personality disorder. And when you get a diagnosis of personality disorder, it is really, really hard to get it removed, because it tends to stay with you for life. And then you get judged by your diagnosis rather than by your assessed needs. I've been to my GP with symptoms of depression, and she has said, "You've got a personality disorder. We can't refer you to services because they won't deal with you." Steps to change, which tends to be the first port call for people with mental health problems, won't deal with complex mental health needs. So you get referred to adult psychology, and that is where there's a big gap in services, because there's a waiting list. It has come down somewhat. It is now 12 to 18 months. So there's still a massive waiting list for adult psychology. And then it's time limited. I was lucky. I had a counsellor that I organised through a private arrangement, and I saw that counsellor for 7 years on a weekly basis. I now see her on a monthly basis, but we meet up for coffee and a chat and manage the symptoms of depression and day-to-day life over a coffee. So my life has progressed. I haven't self-harmed now in about 8 months, which is a fantastic achievement for me. But I still live with urges to self-harm. I still live with urges to take my own life. But I managed those through integrating into the community, through looking at what I can do to help others, and by educating professionals on ways of engaging people with mental health services. So what treatments are there for people with mental health services? There's counselling. Counselling helps people manage day-to-day symptoms. There's something called schema therapy, which looks at those childhood unmet needs. And we have several schema therapists around the county. Most of them are private, but they do charitable work, so it is worth looking out for them. There is something called dialectical behavioural therapy that they do as part of inpatient work with people in Discovery House, which is a locked rehab unit with the Statutory Mental Health Trust. And there are other places dotted around the county that offer dialectical behaviour therapy. And that's very much about dealing with distress tolerance, mindfulness, and recognising those past traumas and not making a situation worse. So it's like CBT, but a little bit more in depth. And there's EMDR, eye movement desensitisation and reprocessing, which is a trauma-focused therapy which stimulates both sides of your brain while you recount traumas, and it helps you to deal with trauma in a less emotive way. So I've had a bit of that, and I've had schema therapy, and I've had counselling. You saw me in 2006, 2007. I stayed in my bedroom for 6 months without coming downstairs because I was so afraid of people outside. So this is a big step for me, coming in speaking in front of people. So, anyone got any questions? Oh, I don't like that.
can you raise your hand if you have a question for the amazing Robert?
Oh, questions over there.
It's not a question, actually. It's just to say thank you so much for standing up there and doing what you're doing. You're an absolute inspiration. Working at the university with students with personality disorders, I wish they could see you because you're so impressive. You're such an amazing person. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'm willing to come to the university anytime.
I just wanted to ask, do you have any techniques or processes that you go through before doing things like today that you find particularly effective?
I have some soothing boxes over there, which I'll bring up when we do the panel. And in that, I have things that help me focus on other things than what's going on in my head. So there's sort of sensory things, fiddly things, headphones with positive phrases in, and those sort of stuff. I also go through mindfulness exercises every day and have positive mantras that I say to myself, like I'm a worthy being, I will achieve more today than I did yesterday, and it's okay if I feel upset because that's a perfectly natural feeling, and it's okay to be angry.
Firstly, would I like to say thank you as well.
You're welcome.
From a personal point of view, and I'm sorry if I get emotional, are you aware of any services or support that's available for families?
For families and carers, it's largely the services provided through the statutory mental health services. I will come and talk to people, to any organisation, family and carers organisation, about personality disorders, because there's many adults in families that struggle to deal with personality disorders within a family unit, and there isn't that support out there at the moment. I keep on beating the drum to services. We welcome family members to Upbeat because they're affected as well.
Yeah, I'm finding that there doesn't seem to be very much out there for individuals that are living with family loved ones.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of coming to talk in a prison? I work in a male prison, and a lot of my grown-up males come present with so many issues. To have somebody to come and talk to them and be an inspiration would be brilliant.
I will come wherever people invite me, so come and speak to me at the stand over there and we'll sort something out.
Thank you.
We have time for one more question if anyone else has one.
Time for a sharp exit.
Thank you so much, Robert.